Welcome everybody to another episode of Fountain of Light. Here joining us today, we have Breeana. And as many of you know, she is a part of Imago Dei Ministry. And today, Breeana is actually going to share with us a little bit more about her job, her career. She actually has such an important job that contributes to the pro-life community. And so, Bree, can you share with us a little bit more about your work?
Yeah, of course. So I'm currently a behavior interventionist, which essentially we work in the applied behavior analysis field. And in that field, we work mostly with children with autism or Down syndrome, just children with like special needs. And it's great. I absolutely love it. Yeah, it's a science-based. It's science-based, and it basically focuses on human behavior and trying to improve their quality of life, because there are children that are on the lower end of the spectrum with autism that may have problems with functional communication, have problems even feeding themselves, or like learning how to tie their shoes, learning how to use the restroom and the steps to do so, or just like basic life skills that they need that they don't have or that they struggle in learning. And so what applied behavior analysis does is, again, it like focuses on helping them acquire those skills that they need in their life, whether it's at home, whether it's in the clinic environment, or it's in the school environment. So I currently work in the school environment, and essentially I work with a child with autism. And I help him learn how to socialize. I help him learn how to use functional communication. I help him learn how to use his AAC device, which is it's an iPad that helps him to communicate. So it'll show different pictures, and it'll say, the pictures will have like an I icon and a want icon, and then like other different icons where it's like, I want food, or I want water, or I want a break. So I essentially teach him how to use that. And yeah, it's just helping him learn how to use functional communication.
Makes it easier for him to be able to communicate what he needs.
Yes, exactly. And because he's on the lower end of the spectrum, he does need that help. So that's where people like me come in. And yeah, we just help him to have the best quality of life that he can have. So yeah, it's really great work.
Amazing.
It's very rewarding for sure. It is difficult work. And it requires a lot of patience for sure, because I mean the children that we work with, they're either on the higher functioning end of the spectrum, they're on the lower functioning end of the spectrum, and you really don't know what you're gonna get until you're there and you're with the student. And it's also our job to kind of help them with whatever maladaptive behaviors that they have. And those behaviors can look like biting, they can look like hitting, they can look like eloping from the classroom, or even like in an in-home setting. We've had students like run out into their neighborhood street because they don't know how to functionally communicate what it is that they want, and they just get frustrated, so they'll elope.
Wow. And that's amazing, Bree. And how did you get into this field of work? Like, what is it? Was this a passion of yours, or when did that come in for you?
Yeah, it's funny because I remember being in high school, and I was actually taking an AP stats class, and I absolutely hated it. I was not doing well in the class, and I was like, you know what? I don't need AP stats right now, so I'm just going to drop the class. And instead I filled that time slot, or that period I had empty now. I filled it with being an office aide. Oh, wow. And so when I was an office aide at the high school that I went to, every single Friday we would have our SPED students, which SPED just stands for special education. We'd have our SPED students come in, and every Friday they would come in and we'd teach them how to do different office things. Like, okay, like we're going to teach them how to like file. We're going to teach them how to like staple packets. We're going to send them on an errand, and they're going to come with us, and we're going to deliver notes to teachers to different classes, you know? So it was really fun. It was essentially like I had a buddy every single Friday that I had to kind of teach and show how to do typical high school office things. So since then, I really loved it. And I noticed, I think what was hard for me in high school was seeing how there were other students that would kind of discriminate against them, or just think like, I don't know, they would essentially judge them because they didn't really understand. And so I remember when prom came around, the special education students actually went to prom, and there were some of my peers that were like, why are they here? Like,
Wow.
what, like, they're not even going to know what's going on. They're not going to enjoy it. And I think, again, it's just a lack of understanding that people that do have special needs, they're still human, and they still have desires, and they still want to be included. They just might not know how to communicate that they want the same things that we might want. And so again, that's kind of like where my job as a behavior interventionist, to come in and to teach those kids with special needs, like how to communicate, like, hey, like I want to play with this peer. Because we also have students where it's like they want to play and they want to socialize, but because of their disability, they don't know how to use the words, or they don't know what words to use to communicate that. So it's like, then I come in and I model that behavior, and it's like, okay, you're going to tap your friend on the shoulder and be like, hey, do you want to play? You know, so it's like teaching them basic things that we take for granted all the time.
Yes, you said it correctly, that we take for granted. And it's so amazing. I feel like in the way you see things, and then you're able to bring awareness to others that don't quite know about like special needs and how we can help them. And that's actually really cool how you dropped a class and you started being a teacher's aide, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. So that's where it kind of grew for you, like that moment.
Yeah, that's where it grew for me. And I studied psychology for my bachelor's. And then I kind of took a little bit of a year off afterwards because I was deciding, okay, like, what do I want to do? What career path do I want to take? And for me, after kind of praying about it, I remembered how much I enjoyed working with special education when I was in high school. And so I was like, okay, like, Lord, are you like calling me to this? Like, it's going to be a really hard thing to do. And it's not always going to be easy. And I just felt God calling me to that, and I feel like he gave me a heart for those students, and it's been so beautiful to be able to work with students that didn't even know their name. You would call their name and they wouldn't even recognize that you were talking to them. So being able to have a student like that to later on be able to tell you that he needs to use the restroom, versus like before he wouldn't even know, he didn't respond to his name. So it was just like, it's just been an insane journey. It's been incredibly
amazing,
it's been beautiful.
You're involved in God's work, and ultimately it's changing lives. Like something so simple as that, right? As knowing your name, or as being able to communicate to go to the restroom. Like that's amazing, and you get to see it like front row, right?
Yeah.
And just like anything, right? And there's no place that you can go where there isn't going to be any challenges. But you felt that call. You felt that call to work with all these amazing children that have special needs. And so I'm sure there's been moments where maybe you felt discouraged or maybe overwhelmed. Can you share with us maybe a testimony that has impacted you, and experience something you saw or that you personally went through?
Yeah, man. The first agency that I worked with, the first ABA agency that I work with, the second student that they gave me was completely nonverbal. That was the student that I was mentioning that just like wouldn't respond to his name, just like wouldn't even look you in the eye, like was just so disconnected from the world, that in the beginning it was very, very hard for me to work with him, because I had to figure out different reinforcers for him in order to get him to communicate. And I think that was really hard, because it's like here you have this student that doesn't even respond to his name, and you're supposed to try and figure out something that he likes that he can potentially work for, so you can use that as a way to get him to communicate. And so it was very difficult, because that student, because he just didn't have the functional communication skills that you and I have, he would get aggressive, he would spit, he would just cry, he would run away. And so it took me a very long time to build rapport with this student, to figure out the things that he liked, to figure out the things that he didn't like. So I was like, okay, I'm not doing that, So it definitely took a very long time. And there were days where I would just come home and I'd be like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how I can help him, So I would like have those moments. And
was it like a hopelessness where you just feel so like frustrated? Like, how can I help him? Or like,
yeah,
I feel like it comes from a place, a very loving place, where it's like you hurt for him, right? Like you want the best for him.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's also such an amazing thing that you do, because it's not easy emotionally. Like, I'm sure there's moments where it takes a toll, and this isn't like your kid that you get to just take home with you, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's under his other care, or, you know, it's just, I don't know. I can't imagine. I can't imagine.
Yeah. And I think with that, I think as I started to build rapport with him and I started to understand him, what was hard for me was that he was still being very misunderstood by the teachers that he had. So it was kind of like, or the other staff members, where it's just like, oh, he's just a bad kid. Like, he's just a bad kid. Like, he's not going to get better. He's going to keep doing this. He's going to keep doing that. And so it was like very hard to be in an environment where it was like, the supporting staff wasn't always on the same page as you, or wasn't really trying to be as supportive. And I feel like that was really hard for me, because it's like you get to know the students that you work with, and in a way you almost become like their guardian at school, you know, and we're the ones advocating for them. So it's like when they have their individualized education plan, when they have their behavior intervention plans in place, we're the ones that have to make sure, like, okay, is everything being followed? Like, are all his needs being met? Is he getting his speech? Is he getting his occupational therapy? Is he getting his assisted PE? And sometimes it's hard because it's like other staff members are like, oh, we don't want to deal with him today, so we won't do this. But it's like we're the ones advocating
it's
for
like
them.
You guys are all they have, because you have them for that amount of time, and it's just like, who else? They can't do it for themselves.
Yeah, so I think it was overcoming that and just realizing, hey, even if I'm like going at this alone and I'm trying to help him alone, it was almost like telling myself, like, okay, like, this essentially kind of like what you were saying, like, this is God's work, you know, like, God came for everybody, and just because somebody seems to be more of an inconvenience doesn't mean that their life isn't as valuable as a student that's in general education, that's an A student, that listens every single time. Like, no, all students deserve the same amount of care and attention.
Yes. And that kind of ties into my next question, which was about how you feel that type of work ties into the pro-life movement. But I mean, just everything you've been sharing, it's just, it comes down to that, you know, that we are all made in his image, that we all have value, we all are worthy. It doesn't matter if you have a disability or if you don't, like, we're all of equal value.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that becomes a little bit difficult, because we kind of do, you know, our society is very like, okay, like, what can you give me? Like, how good can this person make me look? And so there are times when there are, again, just like certain staff members that are like, okay, we want to put these students in the front, you know? And so it's like, wait, but I want my student to have that opportunity too, you know? Like, maybe he's not as quick learning as the other students, but he wants to be in the play, or like he wants to go on a field trip, you know? So it's really just also about fighting for their rights at school, and like making sure that they get the same opportunities as other students.
Yes, it's so important. And then, not to mention, I mean, they're so vulnerable.
Yeah.
They're vulnerable. Like you say, you guys are like their guardians.
Yeah.
You guys are looking out for them. Like, you want them to go on those field trips, because you get to know them, and it's so amazing, because you didn't learn this through text, through reading. Like, you visually saw this, you know, since high school, you visually saw the desire that, you know, these special lives, these special humans have. And you saw that. So that's amazing, especially in a time during high school where a lot of times we worry about, like, oh, me, like all the senior events, all these projects. Well, you're having so much fun tending to these kids. Like, that's amazing. It's like you're definitely called to be there.
Yeah, I love it. It really is just great and beautiful work, for sure.
And you say it's very fulfilling for you.
Yeah, it's very fulfilling in the sense where I think I mentioned before, like, it's like you work with these students that, again, like the second student that I got just wasn't even responding to his name. Towards the end of I think I worked with him almost 3 years. The end of the 3 years, he began using ASL. So, like, American Sign Language, and I had to learn a little bit of that as well. So I was like
learning too.
I was learning right along with him. But he was using ASL, but he was also, aside from that, like, able to finally use his words. So, like, at the end of the 3 years, he was, like, asking me, like, I want hug.
Aww.
And I was like, oh my gosh, like, that's why I do this.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's why I do this, because that student, you would call his name and he'd be in La La Land, wouldn't even know you were talking to him. And now he got to a point where he was looking me in my eyes, just being like, I want a hug, or I want a break, or I want food. So it's like, oh, it's just so great to see the progress.
So beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm sure, with the kids, you deal with the parents, right? They're caregivers or caretakers?
Yes, not so much right now. As a behavior interventionist, our task is mainly to focus on the kids. And so we don't have a full, like a full connection with the parents. That's more so the board certified behavior analysts, which is what I'm studying for. So I have my master's in applied behavior analysis, and I'm getting my hours so I can sit for the exam and be board certified and all those things. So hopefully in a year or two, like I'll be in that position. But I have like had small interactions with the parents.
I imagine. And so is this something or what is something you see often that you think many families with a child with special needs, what is some of the struggles that you see that they face a lot?
Oh man, I think for sure a lack of knowledge and understanding as to, one, what the disability is, and two, what applied behavior analysis is in itself. Which again, as I mentioned, it's like a science-based therapy technique where, again, we focus on the human behavior and we want to mold it, modify it, replace maladaptive behaviors to help that students or even adults, because adults get ABA as well, the person in general just have a better quality of life. And so I definitely think that not enough people know about it, or they have a misconception of what it is. That, and again, I've seen almost an impatience with the parents with it, where it's like, why isn't my student, or why isn't my son or daughter, like, why aren't they fixed yet? And I think that's kind of where it's like, like it's not about fixing them, it's more so about, yes, we want to help modify certain behaviors, but they're not like a problem. Yeah. And I think some parents, again, and it's such a hard thing, because I can only imagine like how tough it must be becoming a parent, and it's like your first time as a parent, and you have a son or a daughter that's autistic or has some sort of special needs, and it's like, this is my first child, like I don't know what to do, Yeah, so there's almost like an impatience that I've seen, where it's kind of like, it's a process. Like, it's not just like a quick fix. Yeah. Like, it is a very gradual, like uphill kind of climb. And so I've seen parents struggle with that. I've seen parents struggle with staff members, like with teachers. I know I mentioned that sometimes staff members are just like, they need to listen, like just like they that very
impatient themselves.
Yeah, exactly. So I've seen a lot of parents having to get attorneys for their kids, as they should, to fight for the rights of the students, to make sure that they get everything they need, all of the services. Yes. So I've seen different things.
And what kind of advice do you think you can give the audience as far as maybe family, right, who has a sibling or a child that has special needs, but they don't have the knowledge? What's some advice that you can give them, as well as somebody who's interested in entering this work field? What's something you can share, or advice that you can give them? Because, like you said, there's challenges, but there's also such beauty, but it's also such responsibility, because, you're dealing with a life. And like you said, like, everyone deserves to be valued. Everyone is worthy. And so anybody entering this field, it's like like there has to be that passion and love, I think, right? But share with us, what kind of advice would you give?
Oh man, I have a few things, but I think if I could go back and tell myself when I was first starting out in the field, I would tell myself it's okay to say no. Because I think there is a tendency to almost feel bad for the student and just be like, okay, I'm just going to give them what they want. And that's not always the best thing to do, because then they get used to just having access to whatever they want. And it starts to become a disservice to them, because then they start to think like, okay, I can just have anything I want whenever I want, when it's like clearly the real world is not like that. And our job is to prepare them for the real world and to help them to have like a better functioning life, right? So I would go back and I would tell my younger self, just be like, it's okay to say no. It's okay to have those moments where, yeah, you might feel bad denying them access to this thing, but it's the little battles that you want to, I can't find another word aside from like win, but it's like, it's the little battles that you want to essentially kind of have like that little win. Because over time, if you keep giving into the bigger things, like behaviors can increase. It can be dangerous for the student. It can be dangerous for you.
And anybody, right? It's like if someone's just receiving every single thing they want, they don't really have to work for it. It's like you said, it's a disservice.
Yeah. So I would go back and tell myself that. And I would also tell myself to not take things so personally. Because, again, kids will... In my experience, at least, like I've been kicked, I've been hit, I've been hair pulled, I've been spit on, you know, and at first I would kind of take that to heart and I'd be like, man, like they just don't like me, like I'm just not doing a good job. But it's not that, it's just that they don't know how to functionally communicate whatever it is that's either upsetting them, what they want. And so I would tell myself, don't take it so personally, like just receive it. Like think about when Jesus got spat on. Think about when Jesus got hit in the face. Think about like all those times that our Lord was denied, but he still did things out of love and understanding, because he knew, okay, my son, my daughter right now is hurting, and that's why they're denying me. That's why they're doing this to me. You know, so I would tell myself to think about it in that way and to just take it, because again, it's our job to teach these students how to communicate. And you're gonna get kicked, you're gonna get bit, you're gonna get scratched in this line of work. Like that's just how it is. But again, it's not personal. It's just that these students, they don't have anyone else to teach them, so it's like they're looking to you, and you're gonna get the brunt of it. Yes, but again, it's so rewarding when you go from a student that like won't even say anything to will start asking for things for himself. So yeah.
Thank you. And then as far as parents, like someone who has a sibling, what kind of advice would you give to them?
Oh man, aside from be patient, just love them. And to just love them, because I mean, again, in high school, like I would see a lot of kind of kids be like, oh, I'm gonna walk around this group, or like, oh, they're weird, you know. And so it's like those students are not fully being received or accepted or loved in the school environment sometimes by their own peers. So it's like if you have a sibling that is going through some sort of like disability like that, just love them.
It's amazing. Thank you for sharing, Bree. And just a little bit to go off topic a little bit. So you're also part of, I believe, church ministry. What kind of things do you participate in?
Well, I participate, aside from Imago Dei, I participate in the choir. Oh, okay. Yeah. Amazing. Which is, again, another beautiful way to just use whatever talents that God's given me to glorify him.
Well, thank you so much, Bree, for coming on to Fountain of Light, for sharing your experiences. It's so beautiful, the work that you do. It's amazing. And, you know, it's something that there's more and more of these cases, right? Like there's more and more happening, like children are suffering from autism, just different special needs. And it's beautiful to know that there's people like you out there who are doing this line of work with so much love and care, you know. And I mean, of course, you have Jesus as well, so that's what greater example than him, right?
Seriously, yeah.
So thank you so much for joining us. We
of
hope
course.
to see you again. Well, I'm sure we
yeah.
But thank you so much, and we'll see you guys on the next episode of Fountain of Light.
Yeah.
God bless.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.